Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business. Looking forward to talking with Barry Gabster. Barry, it's great to connect with you. We were introduced from a mutual friend, Lou Diamond. You're the founder, so thank you, Lou. You're the founder and CEO of InitiateU, which is revolutionizing the advertising game. We've worked with up to 82 clients per month, mailing over 2 million mailers in 1 month, skyrocketing sales from 800,000 to 8.5 million gross sales in just 1 year. I love talking about anything that falls under the umbrella of marketing and the advertising game. And so, how are you revolutionizing things? I've always believed that, we always want to get to something that's fast, fun, and quick, right? Yeah. So, excuse me, fast, fun, and easy. And so,
Sure.
How are you revolutionizing the game?
What I found out was with direct mail, it became such a long-winded process for small business owners. And so when I developed InitiateU, I developed it based on the entrepreneur who didn't have a lot of time but knew that they needed to get advertising done. So essentially, my whole concept was a concierge white glove service where an entrepreneur can contact me one time per week, and one phone call, and I could put together a mail campaign for them, an email of a proof and an invoice, and their mail would go out on Friday. Their phone would be ringing the following week, and that's kind of the meaning behind revolutionizing it. I think a lot of the other direct mail companies right now are the process is just a lot more drug out, and it's a lot longer. It takes them 30 days to put a mail campaign together, where I've sped that process up.
And how do you speed it up? Because coming up with ideas and that one special idea and the messaging, like what's your formula for kind of getting that imported and created and then exporting it out?
Yeah, so a lot of my clients will actually, all of my clients, see, the thing about InitiateU is we've never advertised our advertising agency. Most of my clients have come to me from referrals, or all of my clients, or they've heard my name. So a lot of them come and they say, hey, can you make my phone ring? And so that means that I have, it's up to me to write the copy. It's up to me to come up with the advertising campaign. So really, everything's in my control. So they leave everything into my hands. And so there isn't this long drag out process of going back and forth with mail proofs, trying to sit and come up with ideas together. It's really all my idea, my plan. And then subsequently, I'm gambling on myself just because of my previous results.
Yeah, I love that. But let's talk about making the phone ring. I think that's something that everybody wants to do today. As a business coach who works with solopreneurs to Fortune companies and, managers, VPs, C-level execs, salespeople, one thing that I hear a lot about is that people aren't calling back as much. They're picking up the phone, they're talking, but they're not calling back as much. And so when I hear somebody say who's in the business of making phones ring, right, how should people be hearing that right now?
Yeah, well, they say, right, in sales, it's all about the follow-up, right? So I think it's always about the copy and, of course, the call to action. So you'll see a lot of my mail pieces are very, they'll bring forth the call to action. There's a very urgent sense to them, right, that they need to do this now. The other thing, too, is I keep it very simple with my advertising. I mean, less is more, right? Ultimately, I see a lot of mail pieces, a lot of copy out there that is just drug out, and it's too long. We're trying to come up with a question. If there's a question, right, and there's a reason for them to pick up the phone. I think a lot of the advertising companies now don't leave a question for them to pick the phone up, and I think they missed the mark there, and that's why these people aren't calling in.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second, because missing the mark and a call to action. It's amazing to me. And I see this all the time in people that I coach, they forget to actually ask and guide people to the call to action. And so let's talk about the call to action and how much time do you really have for someone to peruse or read anything before asking for a call to action? Because I think one thing I hear a lot is, how much do I have to give? When can I ask? What's your thought process on that?
I just kind of go with the, where does my eye follow on the copy, right? If it's a mail piece, I'm looking at it. It's just, I'm seeing the top and I'm scanning through it, right? So I leverage different font sizes, bolding things. I'm utilizing this offer is only good until, or things of that nature, to really push them to actually pick the phone up and call. But I think it's important to know that a lot of what the mail pieces these days aren't doing is leveraging fonts and different bolding things, and again, just making it more of a letter rather than actually having the mail piece pop into their eye, right? That's really what we're trying to accomplish, is getting them to pop, or getting the mail piece to pop, to push them to go ahead and pick the phone up and ask the questions.
What's a great ask today? Can you give some examples of an ask or a call to action of an ask?
I really leverage that this offer is really only good for X amount of time. I do work a lot with the mortgage industries. I work a lot with people in the financial markets. So, when we're sending out an offer with an interest rate or a credit card offer, when we send that out, we are utilizing, pre-screened data. So we do know what their credit scores are. So quite frankly, when that mailer goes out, that offer could not even be viable that day, right? So really, creating that urgency. Look at, we verified that you're eligible today. You have 7 days to respond to this. Is really what we're leveraging the most out of it. Because quite frankly, like I said, when the mailer goes out, that offer really, it doesn't stand anymore, because interest rates fluctuate, as we all know, and so do FICO scores. Yeah.
I love, what you're talking about for scarcity. I want to kind of keep on this as far as the ask, because you talked about it as a big piece of yours. And I find that sometimes people have a hard time actually asking for business, right? They get uncomfortable asking for business. And so as you work with people in messaging, how many times should you ask in one piece?
Well, so if we're going to talk, are we talking about the mail creative, or are we talking actually on the phone call?
Well, in this case, in your world, what you've just described, just the mail creative, right? We can talk about the phone call, but how many times throughout a piece are you actually asking for business?
Yeah. So normally I stick to three different. I usually have in the top right corner, I'll have a smaller font phone number. In the middle of the mail piece, I'll have the phone number in a medium-sized font, and then at the bottom, traditionally, I'll have a lot larger font. Call now, call immediately, or then within the next 7 days, this offer may expire. Type of is normally the three places that I put the actual telephone number.
Okay, good. I like that. Those are some good takeaways. All right, you ready for a quick speed round, Barry?
Oh God, here we go.
What's a book that's had the biggest impact on you?
A book that's had the biggest, Who Moved My Cheese, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely one that's impacted me.
Yeah, I love that book. Him and Haw. That book is very relevant always, especially I think right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That is such a relevant book. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Less is more is my go-to. I honestly say that multiple times weekly, because I often hear people over-educate on the phone, over-talk somebody, and don't stick to the script.
Yeah, there's something called the curse of knowledge, from a scale from 1 to 10. People buy it at 2 to 3. So if you're just over-describing, it really doesn't benefit you. So I agree. I love the whole less is more. Finish this sentence. One thing every person needs to be more aware of when it comes to the advertising game is?
You need to make sure that there's a question. I think that's what really pushes picking up the phone, and really makes brings an action, right? Yeah. There has to be a question. If there's not, then there's no reason for anybody to take any action.
Yeah, I love that. And finish this sentence. Once they have the question, what are they listening for?
The answer, right? Of course, right?
Yeah.
And they know that this could benefit them, right? So that's why they picked the phone up and took the risk of asking the question. Yeah, right?
I love it. Barry, tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
Yeah, so my business got started with a small to medium-sized entrepreneur who waited last minute to get their advertising campaign out. So we have the capability of pushing out advertising campaigns in as little as 3 days. I worked with some big players in Fortune 500 companies. So it's not that I'm held bound to the small to medium sized business owner. So in the financial markets, mortgage companies, realtors, anything that has to do with a financial offer, could be a car dealership. Those are my clients.
Great. And can they connect with you?
Connect with me at, you can just call my cell phone direct at 949-400-1102, or you can go to my website, which is www.initiateu, that's the letter U.life. Or you can go to my Instagram, which is at MailGuyGabster.
I love it.
That's how you can connect with me.
Barry, I appreciate it. I appreciate your wisdom today and giving some really solid advice on how to ask and call to actions, which I think is a very weak point in many people's games. So thank you for that. Community, I think a good question to ask yourself is, how are you revolutionizing your business? How are you reinventing the nuances? Because Barry, I agree with you, less is more. And sometimes people are just a sliver away from, really growing and expanding their business. If Barry can help you, Think Community, please reach out to him. Barry, this was great. I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, and I appreciate it
today. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely.